Next week is kind of a make or break week for the stock market as a whole. I mean, seriously, not kidding, because I'm sharing with you 7 signs. I think it was Friday or Thursday, like literally what is going on, and behind this whole bloodbath, this red wave on the stock market since pretty much the beginning of this year, 2022. All right. So next week we have several catalyst, several things are going to happen, events, conferences, and everything. We have earnings, we have numbers on the GDP, we have the FOMC, the Federal Reserve meeting committee, for 2 days. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday. So we have a bunch of things that in somehow will literally give either smooth the market or like break them for good. But there is one other item that is kind of flying under the radar that really nobody's really focusing on. And that's what I want to precisely focus on in this video today. Because, we've been talking about this since a couple of months now, and it's about the SEC voting next week on boosting hedge funds disclosures. All right. The SEC is voting next week on how transparent they want hedge funds to start disclosing their short positions in the stock market, because as of now that it's not required by the SEC. It's not like at all required by the SEC to any hedge fund, any private firm, any market participant, any suit on the street. They are not required to disclose how shorted they are, if they even hold any short position in any stock, in any company publicly traded in the market, which is totally like, how is it even possible? We have the 13F filing, like any, market participant, any market player can tell the SEC, hey, we just bought, 1 million shares of Tesla. We just bought, 5%, ownership into X company, AMC, GameStop, whatever. That we know, and that's what we've been going through pretty much for the last quarter. The last half of 2021. But because now things are about to change, it might also change things when it comes to what is actually going to happen in the stock market also as a whole, but also specifically into AMC and GameStop, because it gets even more interesting. Let's get into this. First of all, since October 2021, the SEC started saying, hey, we're going to impose new rules on hedge funds. And that is forcing the money managers of hedge funds to periodically disclose short sale reports. In other words, short sale positions, which is not the case now. So it seems like the SEC has now come to a voting process that's about to take place next week. The SEC to strengthen quarterly trade details disclosure. And they're voting the last week of January, which is next week, to propose increasing hedge fund trade disclosures. While Mr. Gary Gensler hasn't made the full details of this proposal available, he reported that there will be an increase in the frequency and details of the hedge funds disclosure. Hedge funds and other private funds use the Form PF to disclose quarterly details of their trades. But what exactly are they talking about? Well, they're talking about getting more transparency on the short sale disclosure. What did it mean? Well, a short sale disclosure will mean that hedge funds by law, will be required to show regulators the power plan behind the curtains if they are to continue this type of operations with naked shorts and synthetic shares. And hedge funds are really nervous about that. We've seen hedge funds beg the OCC to delay liquidation and are now seeing pushback regarding this new short sale disclosure rule. How is it even surprising? Because when you actually know how things work, when you short sell, it is natural that they will be nervous and they will push back on this, because by forcing them to actually disclose on short sale, it exposes them in two significant ways. The first one is, okay, if they tell everybody, because when you disclose, it's public information and everybody has access to it. If they expose, how deep they are short selling a stock, especially like, AMC and GameStop, you are literally opening your kitchen to the whole world. And what happened back in January and June is likely to happen again, because first of all, it will give confirmation on other people knowing how deep you are. And if a company like AMC doesn't really make sense, at least on the short term, to be this shorted, it attracts other investors like sharks smelling blood in the water, man. You know what I mean? Like, if I know how deep you are in a short sell position, I can actually try to squeeze you out of that position, causing the price to skyrocket and go to the moon. Exactly what happened in January and June. The second way it exposes them like really bad is the fact that by doing so, it also literally and automatically exposes the existence of fake shares, synthetics, and the naked shorts. Why? Because if you tell me I'm short just 1 million shares in AMC stock, and we have like 10 companies providing this information, right? How come in the last year or so, or every single day, the stock is being traded, the shares are being traded like a bazillion amount of time, like 4, 5, 10 times the amount of outstanding shares? Like, how can you trade shares significantly higher than the whole amount of shares existing out in the market? Like, how is that even possible? How is that even possible that a share without any specific negative news affecting it will trade 70% lower than what it was trading, not even at the new highs back in September, October, like when it was still in the 50s? You know what I'm saying? So it exposes them in two significant bad ways that are going to mean literally the end of the party, the end of the shenanigans. And that's why they're nervous. That's why they don't want this and they push back on this. But things are, excuse me, about to change this week potentially. Now, here's the catch. As usual with the SEC so far, you don't really know on which foot you need to dance, on how you can, actually receive this information, because there have been so many other rules imposed and put out there in 2021 that it literally did nothing. It did nothing to the share price. It did nothing to the whole, short squeezing, preventing the guys, on the Wall Street to screwing the retail investor. So why will we actually take this information seriously? Well, I say we don't, because until we really see things starting to move our direction, we can't really hold our breath on this. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not putting my breath on this, but it's kind of worth also monitoring and seeing how it could do things if maybe this is finally the SEC stepping up and saying, you know what, enough is enough. This needs to end. But let's just see how it unfolds before we actually start, judging.